Hello, good morning. I don't know where everybody is today, but it is a very dreary day here. Lots of clouds and very little sunshine and a little bit of light coming in the window, but man, it's hard to get going. Hope everybody's good and awake. I have my coffee. I've had half a cup so far, so still waking up, but a better time to just roll out of bed and start making some things. Gonna get some, creative energy flowing and wake up the brain. And I don't know if anybody does that, like just rolls out of bed and gets to work. I mean, technically I didn't just roll out of bed, but you know what I mean? Maybe. But I don't know if like, I'm curious if people need something to like warm them up a little bit first before they work on their whatever you got to work on, whether it's creative projects or just work or things you got to do around the house. I know a lot of people do warm-up sketches, some artists, and have little rituals that they do in the studio. I try rituals and habits, and I'm really bad. Deadly, very not good at it. So always trying to set up. Part of it's the ADHD. It's just can't do anything about that. Anyway, I'm gonna continue working on this piece. This is painting on a 15-pound old cutting board that was cracked. So I repaired the crack. Not in any way that was ever going to be good for being a cutting board again, but great for painting surface. On the back, I added on layers of gesso, which allows me to make this a painting surface. And it's mostly acrylic with a little bit of collage in different spots. And I got a lot of base layers down, but there's a lot of refining and stuff to keep going with. And I'm thinking about adding in some more collage elements that are more textural. And the way that I do it, it kind of becomes like a very layered effect, like layers of paint, layers of collage, drawing on top of that, more paint on top of it. At some point, I might add in some transfer prints. And that is, if you don't know what transfer prints are, and a lot of people probably don't, it's something that I randomly came across like a year ago and really love. I happen to have a laser printer, a black and white laser printer, because I have a very long and angry history with inkjets, and I just refuse. So I got a cheapish laser printer that just does black and white to keep it affordable. And I like grab stuff. Unrelated things while I'm talking. You print out your image in black and white, and you got to make sure it's on reverse, so it's like mirrored. And then you add your like a gloss gel medium usually, and you put it down and you really, really like work it in and adhere it, and you let it dry. Like you let it really set and really dry, and then maybe 24 hours later you come back and you can remove the paper. To reveal it, you just use a little gentle water and rubbing. But anyway, what I was just grabbing is I've shown a couple of my little bins of collage materials that I collect, but I also have a milk crate full of magazines and garbage that I collect. I love my old magazines. Like here is a 1951 Better Homes and Gardens, and these are great. A lot of it's like some ads in color, some pages in color, but it's just the ads are so ridiculous. Christmas is a wonderful time to give or receive a beautiful Borg. Scale, could you imagine? Like, isn't that an old joke waiting to be written about giving your wife a scale for Christmas? But yeah, there's great stuff, and the ads, especially because they're so ridiculous and often fairly sexist. But just beautiful color and weird textures to put in things, and I like to cut the text out of, especially the ads, and kind of use it out of context, and that makes really great little lines. Like Bad Little Good Girl, and things like that that I've used in my paintings. So yeah, I'm always on the lookout for guys like this, so anytime I'm at a thrift store or something, I'm checking them out. Good morning, Jim. Hello, hello. Hope all is good in the world. But yeah, I grabbed this bin because I'm not looking for a magazine, and there's a ton of them in here, and random other crap. This is, you know, was a spine from a notebook, and I'm just like, part of me is sure it'll come in handy for something with art one day. Like, will it? I don't know. Probably not. But I have it. I have it. In case. Maybe. Maybe. But I have sheets of things too. Oh. Strings, because you never know. More strings. Surprised my cat hasn't stolen those. He just doesn't know where to look for the good stuff. Old maps. Random old, I think I have some sheets of what was the scrapbooking paper. Is that still a thing? Remember when scrapbooking was huge years back? And anything like that I have, it's like, if I am in a store and I find ephemeral packs of paper or cards, I'll pick that up. This weird stuff. Old ledgers. There isn't even a year dated on these. But yeah, business ledgers. Tissue paper, textured paper, stencils, just random stuff. Different sheets I've torn out. And I'm looking for maybe something that just would be a good bit of texture to paint over. Why do I have random newspaper, like modern newspaper? I don't know why that's there. I don't even remember having it. Look at those pretty vegetables. No, fruit. Fruit! I know what I'm talking about. Said it's early. I've only had to have a cup of coffee. People? The Queen of England? The previous Queen of England, randomly? That's definitely from an Old Life magazine. That's cool. Isn't that cool? That face. I think it's a guy wearing a fencing mask. But that's cool. I'm definitely going to use that for something at some point, but I don't think this is the right one. A lady resting or something. See, I cut them out of context and then I don't even remember the context. That makes it all the more fun. Okay, so maybe, since it's kind of like a Red Riding Hood reference, maybe using a bit of this paper. Let's see what I can figure out. I don't want the face. I think my trusty little scissors for cutting out stuff. Let me pick that up. I really like to incorporate some like collage almost in the way of like found elements into my art. I do it a lot to kind of elaborate on story and to add a little bit of humor, because sometimes there can be some fairly serious topics in my artwork. Let me cut off. I don't want it to be just a smear. A little rougher. Maybe this can go somewhere. Oh, look at that. And you can see when I set it here now, like the white really stands out, but it'll get coated with things. Maybe it's still too big. Maybe I'll just, maybe right against the little edge here. Like, sometimes it just ends up being a tiny little thing like that. If at all. Well, okay, maybe. I'll think on it. Ooh, what's on the back? Sometimes lines of text can make an interesting texture. I've done that in the past. I don't think those paintings are in here now, but I have an example. My studio is chaos. Where I use text, like just lines of text out of articles to create a texture for the background of painting something. And that can be kind of interesting, especially because you can use the text to kind of, again, add your story if you find the right things to tear up, the right stories to tear up that they fit into your picture. And half the time it's not readable. And then I kind of think of it as like it's sort of an inside joke. In that sense. Also, sometimes I keep like packaging. Like I just grab everything. Chaos. Chaos. I try to keep it under wraps, but and finding those old magazines can be really hard these days. You can go online and find people auctioning them for like, I don't know, sometimes $20 a pop. And what I really am always looking for is like women's magazines or like teenagers magazines from the 80s or the 90s, especially the 90s, because that was like this weirdly toxic era. And that's hard to find. That's really, really hard to find for a reasonable price. Every now and again, going through some thrift store or antique mall, you might get lucky, but so much of it just probably ended up in garbage bins over the years, and the rare people who've kept it and thought to not just trash it. But yeah, there's gold in some of that stuff. Right, so I'm just getting my palette set up now. I have an old paper palette that I'm using. It's very, very old, and obviously you can see it's very like not very flat, but I have it. I'm using it. It works. It's not perfect, but it works. So okay, I'm gonna continue painting. I want to do some refining on her. I have this little tattoo that I kind of blocked a space for, but I'm going to add back in once I'm happy with her neck. And there's a lot, you know, to do in the background, which is just like, I just put a real sloppy green in to kind of fill the space. The last time I worked on this. So normally I would stream on Mondays and Thursdays. This next week I will not be streaming on Monday just because it's Christmas and I will be with family. But I might try to fit in a makeup evening stream sometime next week. We'll see how that goes, what I can manage, what makes sense. So I just might show up one night and work on something. All right, so I don't know if anyone is interested, but I'm putting down Payne's Gray White. This is quinacridone Red, which has like a very cool tone to it. And Yellow Oxide, which is kind of a neutralized yellow. Mustardy color, you might say. That's kind of the core of my palette. Most of the painting has been done with that, outside of little bits in the hair and down here where I added some cobalt blue. Everything else has been actually just those four colors. Alright, I think it's okay to start with that. And my slow dry medium. So this stuff is cool because I'm working with acrylic paints and they dry super fast. And this helps keep them from drying out so quickly if I mix them in. So they're a little more workable and they don't get tacky so fast. Like you got like a minute longer on the canvas, and also they don't, like after about an hour and a half, they kind of start getting funky, the paints that you have on your canvas usually. They just get like a little tackier. They just start to dry, and then you're kind of fighting them a little bit as you continue going. This helps a little bit with that, keeps it from happening too fast. So I have these blobs, you can see it's kind of gross looking, like jellyish blobs. And just mix it into my little paint piles. Try to get it good and incorporated so that it'll be easier to work with for a little bit longer. Just using a cheapo palette knife, and I just flung paint everywhere. Oh, me. A day in the art studio. Oh, if I'm not making a mess. Then get on the painting. We're good. Can't have nice things. So, hope everybody's feeling ready for the holidays if you celebrate. Or just, you know, whatever. The New Year's coming too. For me, it's more of like just the traditions. I don't know. I'm not a very religious person, but it's just all the holiday traditions and spending time with family. And I'm gonna be baking cookies today. So fingers crossed that goes well. I like to bake, but I don't do it very often, and like I only make cookies at Christmas time basically. So just hope everything that I don't burn or destroy any, or I don't end up with like hockey pucks. Delicious hockey pucks. Okay, last one, and then we can start. I really love Payne's Gray. It's such a weird color. Like almost black. Not quite black, there's like some blue and like the tiniest bit of white in it, hence the gray. But it's just an interesting, nice dark color. I tend to use that in place of my blacks, either that or, depending on the piece I'm doing and the overall colors that are going on, either that or dioxazine purple. I always feel like I'm probably saying that wrong. I don't know. But that's like a super dark purple. It's not as blackish as this, but it can be if you mix it with some other colors. So, yeah, anyway. There we have it. I have paint. I have color. Let's do things. Alright, come on. Where to start? Maybe... Actually, maybe like happiest with like the arm right here. Like, there's just a little bit of detail to add in here and clean up. A little more depth in the lips. I'm getting a little flat at the moment. So I'm pulling up my reference photo. And okay, let's do some things. All right, you know what I'm going to do first is add in my lightest lights before anything gets gummed up on my palette and my brushes and everything. So that's going to be mostly a white color. Didn't see that coming, did you? Jim, I found 2 gifts on Saturday at Challenger's Comic Books on Western Avenue, Chicago. One is Mark Criley's The Comic Book Lesson. Ooh, very nice. I've not been there. Actually, I haven't been in the comic book store for a while. A lot of them around here have closed. I think there's still one. There's one that I can think of that is still exists, but I think that they're still there because they've leaned into more of the collectibles, like the toys and that kind of thing. I used to go on occasion many years ago to one that was in Schaumburg, and it was pretty big. I can't remember what it was called. I think that was back when I thought that I wanted to do like, work on comic books. I did the only thing I ever really did was an alternate cover for a kind of indie book. And now when I look at that one, I'm like, ooh, Lynell, you could have done so much better. It was a long time ago, so, you know, go figure. But it used to be what I thought I wanted to do, was that kind of art for a long time. But then once I had the opportunity to work on some of it, I'm like, you know what? I think maybe I don't necessarily want to just do that. So, you know, minds change, try different things. I just, yeah, it just didn't speak to me that much. I did, work with a couple folks on creating, what do you call it? Kind of like, mock-up of pitches, like little mini books for their ideas that were, like pitching an idea to try to get a book funding, I think, for a book maybe, or to get it picked up. But I never really had the desire to write my own story. Like I'm more of a one-picture storyteller, I think. The other is Maker Comics, How to Design Games. It's a comic book story that's also a guide to making board games. Oh, that's pretty cool. Mark Crowley has a YouTube channel with drawing tutorials for comic book creating lessons. That's awesome. The resources that are available to us these days are incredible. I love it. Between awesome books and, oh my god, YouTube. There's a part of me that wishes that I had YouTube when I was a teenager, but there's also a part of me that's very glad that the internet didn't exist at that point too, you know? Just remembering back to how angsty I was. I'm sure it would be there would probably be some very embarrassing things out in the wilderness that existed. So in that regard. Yeah, if somebody's really self-motivated to learn something, like the sheer amount of what you can find and really dig into is just incredible. I think it's much easier to be self-taught anything now than at any other point. Any other time. I probably should switch to a smaller brush, but no, let's make things difficult for myself. Where's the fun in that? I don't have too many folks to shop for Christmas presents for that are like art related. Really? I have one niece who's incredible. She blows my mind about what she can do, and she's like just self-taught drawing. She's all of 10 years old, and she's way beyond where I was probably even at 15 in terms of some of her abilities, and it's just awesome to see. And so I get to shop for some supplies for her, usually, depending on what she wants or what she's working on. And I have a lot of friends and family who are creative-minded people that have done a lot of creative stuff, but like maybe hobbyish at this point, if anything. So on occasion I can, whip out some fun little thing that they can work on. I have another niece who's been trying crochet and is really into photography. And as much as I also love it when they're into the things that I'm excited about, they are their own people, and they are just, amazing for who they are and what they do. And somebody asked, which I didn't see until I was getting off the stream. I totally missed a comment that was a question on YouTube last week, or on Monday when I was streaming, that asked me what I was looking to achieve, when would I know that I'm done with this painting? And that was a really good question. I guess it's just sort of building it until it reaches... it is mostly intuitive, if I'm being honest. It is a little bit of once it gets there, I'll know. Which is often how I work. I don't have, I have approximate plans, maybe kind of I know I want it to ultimately be about this, and I know that I have this reference and how I want to put it in the picture, and I know that I want to find some story elements or my collage elements. I'm not calling them story elements. I don't know. That's not entirely correct, but yeah. I might have ideas about some of the things that I want to happen there. But there's also just the discovery process of what do I find what do I actually find? While I'm looking, something sometimes just speaks and is oh, okay, this gives me a whole different look at it. You just come across something that gives you a different perspective. That happens often. And I'm always willing to kind of just see what happens as I'm working, to be open to the process. and keeping track of some things that are a little bit important to me, perhaps in terms of like maintaining my visual like a focal point, the motion, the color management. So it's a mix of being mindful of exactly what I want to achieve and also just letting the process dictate the outcome. Deciding what I want to control and what it's okay to let go of controlling. Yeah, that's kind of where we're at. And it's funny, I was kind of, I just started streaming on Twitch last week, like dual streaming there, and I was seeing some of the play out of the change in their policy about like nudity and things like that, which is interesting to me, not because I'm gonna show up nude on stream, it's definitely not the case, but I do work with a figure in my artwork, and tends to be quite a bit of nudity in my art, not in a sexual way, just in like a vulnerable way. So I was kind of watching that, and when that first was like, oh, we're gonna allow some art stuff, you just have to label it, put it in the right category. It's like, oh, that's good. Then I can work on anything on stream. That's great. And then the next day or 2 days later, that changed back. Okay. Well, there was a day in there. No, how things go. It's just a shame that like the body is so sexualized, especially the female form. I don't know. I don't know that anybody would agree with me or how many people would, but I don't exactly understand why breasts are so sexualized. You know, it's part of the body that technically we all have. Nipples, breasts, then whatever, just like it's functional and it has nothing to do with anyway, nobody cares what like, I'm not gonna change anything. Having my opinions today, it's fine. I have lots of opinions, lots of them, and it's always... Well, hello there, Watson. You want your chair? Oh, 30-pound box of things. Oh. Seriously, I think that's 30 pounds. Here you go. My cat. I'm gonna chill out because it's just him and me at the house at the moment, so he can't be alone anywhere. He's a very social critter. He does not like to be left alone. Doesn't like to be left alone. He doesn't go off on his own. Ever. Like, every cat I've had in my life has, you know, they'll be around you for a certain extent of time, but then at a certain point, they're kind of done with it, and they go off and they'll take a nap someplace, and, you know, good luck finding them if they don't want to be found. My critter is not that way at all. He does not like to not be in eyesight of anything that's happening. He wants to know what's happening. He wants to be involved. So it's just, it's funny. I don't know. It's the breed, I think, is a big part of that. A little bit needy, but very adorable. And he is really good company in that sense. But definitely not great for somebody who's not home much, probably. Here you go, critter. Don't go walking on my keyboard, alright? He has a habit of doing that. Alright. There was something that I was looking at to paint for a second here. What was it? Oh, you're very cute. You're giving me looks. Okay. I kind of gotta work up my darker colors. I don't think that many people... I guess that I have a way of painting with acrylics that is a little bit reminiscent of the way that I paint with watercolors, which is like light to dark. Whereas I think a lot of people kind of tend to do the opposite. But I think that that allows for some more... Well, right now I'm not doing that. I'm just sort of working my way back in to make some adjustments, but I think that it allows for more luminous lights if you put your lights down and kind of get that set, and then anything else goes on top of it. At least there's a potential for that. Okay. Getting pretty close to a place where I'm actually fairly almost happy with a lot of the skin tone. Oh my goodness! Hi! There's my cat trying to get on my shoulder. You're very cute. You have claws. Mister, behave. Alright, so I think I will make some adjustments on some of the details in the face. I think I will go back in and add my the tattoo in. Whoop, oh my goodness, I almost stepped on a tail. Establish some neck that's kind of getting lost here, just slightly. Anyway, yes, what I was saying before. Oh, here's my water. Losing things when I'm holding them. That's a sign of being on top of it. I was wrapping presents last night. I'm like, I can get the presents that we need for the day with one family done. That'll be great, and I'll try to get it done in like an hour. I should be able to wrap all these in an hour. And then it somehow ended up taking like 2 hours. Man, wrapping gifts can be a chore. Sitting on the ground and, you know, old lady bones. Like you get up and like everything hurts so bad after sitting on the floor for too long. Good times. Keep losing track of what I'm doing. My cat is literally sitting right between me and the easel with his tail like right in the way. He's good at finding a way to make himself the center of the situation. Trouble. So much trouble. And yet very adorable. What if does anybody buy do you have pets or buy your pets gifts for holidays? I've known some people that are can be really nuts about it. Though he got an early present, he had to replace his scratching post. And so that was his early Christmas present. Because he's not a small kitty, so getting one that fits him, that like he can actually stretch all the way up, is cheap. So you bought that, it's like, yeah, that's all you're getting. Sorry, buddy, I don't think he cares, but that's it. No clothes for him, nothing goofy like that. We're not quite that nutty yet. Mostly because he'd probably destroy me. not been in the mood to watch any actual Christmas movies or Christmas music. I have not been in much of the mood about any of it this year. So it's like, why am I baking cookies today? Because I've run out of time. If I don't do it today, it's not going to get done. I certainly don't have to. But it's just one of those things where, you know, I'm trying to I don't know what I'm trying to do. Trying to force myself to be in the spirit, maybe? I think it's just hard to separate yourself from like the stress. Like, even this year, I haven't had a tremendous amount of extra things to do. We're not doing any hosting. Like, nobody's coming over. We don't have to like clean the house and have it prepared for visitors or anything like that. Or make sure we can feed a bunch of people. But I don't know, maybe it's just so many years of feeling stress about it that's just so hard to, like, not just feel that way no matter what. I don't know. Like a default position. Oh, that's better. I wish you could see my cat right now. He's like rolled over with his stomach up in the air and his paws on my foot. Everybody should have a studio pet. No question. Yes, he makes a mess and walks all over things, but, you know, it's worth it. Something that makes things a little weird right now is both my partner and I have family who are in, well, my partner's dad went into the ER last night, so they don't know what's the deal is yet. Tests haven't shown anything, so hoping that everything's just gonna be fine there. Don't know. And I have an uncle who's in a care center at the moment recovering from stroke and heart attack situation, so that's hard. That makes things weird. I just hope everybody will be okay. And that goes for everybody everywhere. It seems to be a quiet day in the world this morning. I think yesterday was supposed to be like one of the biggest travel days in the US that we've ever had. So I imagine a lot of people have already are already involved in their traveling. I think I need to switch to a slightly bigger brush. Between kind of the quiet in the world that seems to be the case today and just kind of the overcast dreariness. It just feels like it's a good day to be painting. Like have on some maybe indulgent music. That's a little too yellow. Let's go pink. One other thing when I'm looking over there is not just looking at my reference, but I also have a screen of my streaming software, the camera on this, so I can see this at about this size, where it's like I'm looking at it from across a room. And that helps me. I mean, it's more like seeing what you guys are seeing when you're watching the stream, which is sometimes remarkably different from what I feel like I'm seeing right in front of my face. So constantly making adjustments based on almost more that than what I'm seeing standing here in front of it, because I'm so close to it. It has a strange effect of just making things seem different. Like some changes look more obvious, more impactful when I look there versus here. Sometimes I see things there that I'm not seeing here almost at all. And it's the lighting and such. So it's just interesting. Shadow under the neck looks a little weird. Something I used to do when I would wrap presents years ago would be like put on one of those silly videos. I think they would have them on Netflix. They probably still do, where it's like the Yule log. I would just put that on the TV and then put on my own music and wrap presents, because I kind of have my own personal hang-ups with Christmas music. Now, I don't know if anybody has or has heard of Shudder, which is a streaming service that's just like horror movies broadly, by and large. Scary stuff from all over the world. It's kind of cool. But anyway, they have now a ghoul log. And actually, I think now it goes almost year round. You can put that on. They call it the ghoul log. And I think there might be one that's an actual log, or else it's a, we call it a, where's my brain? Trying to think about unrelated things while I'm painting is sometimes hard. Jack-o'-lantern. There we go. Pumpkin. So that's kind of a silly thing. Just make some fun out of it, I guess, maybe. And the shadow that her hat is casting here is a little too hard, so I'm gonna go in and soften that a little bit too. Shadows rarely are just a hard black line, but I was just kind of marking in things when I painted that in, which was effective for that, but then you just go back in and you make adjustments. Soften both the edge and the contrast a little bit. Even the edge along her face, I'm just going to soften it a little, just a little.
off of the wheel, let go. Hands off of the wheel, let go. Time is limitless.
You know, I'm making a mess of things. I'm trying to paint on top of paint that's getting like tacky, and that it just starts picking itself up. So I'll just kind of wipe that off and let it dry before I go back to it. Looks awfully not good right now, but we'll get it there. We'll get it there. Probably gonna start doing the same thing here. That's just that point at which, yeah, I mean, it's only even been an hour. It must just be because the heat's on in the unit, so the air is particularly dry, and everything is drying out on my palette much faster than it normally does. So that's having an effect. It'd be crazy how much atmosphere and weather can have an effect on your painting. Don't often think about that, but it sure does. Oh, still a little messy. Let me go back to a little bigger brush, just clean it up a little bit. Then I can move to something else while I let it dry a little bit better, and then maybe go in and kind of block in that tattoo for today. All right. Mix some more colors on here. Letting it get a little bit gummy on the palette because I'm kind of being precious about mixing. I tend to do that, and I don't know why. Kind of a force of habit, I suppose. That doesn't serve me very well. Yeah, I'm fine with the brushwork showing. I just need to get it to create the shapes that I need it to, and then we can work with something. I'm not a realist painter. That's not something I have any particular interest even in. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting closer. Paint it, repaint it, repaint it, repaint it. Welcome to the creative process. I could get... And the crazy thing is I could just get lost. I could work on something like this and the time just goes by and then, like, I don't even know what happened. You know? I guess they call that like a flow state, right? Where you really get absorbed into something and you don't even realize the time is passing. Peter Davies, hi from England, UK. Do you never use a hairdryer to speed things along? Or maybe you're more patient than me? I tend to not. I do get impatient. So I don't think it's accurate necessarily to say that I'm patient. More stubborn, probably. Like, I'll continue working at it until probably I come close to destroying it. But no, I do have a hairdryer I could use. I actually even have like a heat gun in the studio. It's just something I just never reach for. I'm just like, well, you know, if I'm using my brain, sometimes it happens. Once in a while, I can just switch to working with something else, because at least with acrylics and also with watercolor, either of those mediums, they really do dry quite fast until you reach the point, like with watercolor, of absolute oversaturation. Like a lot of a minute, this is dry. And I still have plenty of other things to work on. It's really just silly stubbornness, more so than I have a plan or a, I don't know, or any kind of reasoning that technique. It's not very thought through. Also, I don't like to do that. Particularly, I think when I'm streaming, I don't want to do that. It's like blast out the microphones, and I guess I could mute it, but I have an odd history of the mute button and myself. Some issues. Anyway, okay. I'm gonna go back in and pull up on the darks and the hand a little bit. Just my photo so I can see that. Oh my goodness, am I completely missing things here? What's going on? Slim Chessie. Hello. Janet 6000, thank you for the follow. Where the heck do I have? I am. I'm sorry. I didn't notice. Thank you for the raid. It's progressed a lot. Thank you for that. I'm still working on it. I'm doing good. It's a quiet day out in the world today. Not a lot of people out, and I don't know. I imagine some of that is just due to holiday plans, traveling, preparations, and stuff. So I think it's just that kind of that time of year where things are just slowing down and people are focusing on whatever is going on in their life. Last minute shopping. Oh my goodness, my cat is right in front of me, between me and the easel, so yeah, makes things interesting. He's been there the whole time here. But yeah, I think it really is just a quiet day in the world of wherever people are doing things. So, yeah, I don't know. Otherwise, I do not know. Yeah, the mute button is absolutely my worst enemy. I think the last one of maybe 4 streams ago, I want to say, maybe 5. It was a stream on, I think it was just on YouTube, that one, before I started on Twitch also. And because my mic is right here, you can see in the camera, and the mute button is right on top of it, like the little circle there, that's the mute button. And I was just doing things and I bumped it and I muted the channel and I didn't realize it for, I think it was about 20 minutes. Until somebody finally said something and I noticed somebody say something in the chat and it's like, oh, that's wonderful. I just did that. So, you know, even after I'm not on Twitch, but on YouTube, I've been streaming for almost a year. So you would think you'd have less of these types of issues, but oh no. I absolutely do. And a lot of that is just me being me. Kind of a slightly spazzy ADHD self. And yeah, just another part of that is just the poor design of the microphone. Although nothing beats the poor design of my Apple mouse that came with my computer. That one just, every time I have to charge it, I'm just like, my mind is just blown away by how dumb it is, and I've had this thing for several years now. Like, why? How did this get past testing? Whose brilliant idea was it to make it so that you can't use the mouse when it charges? It's not well thought out. It makes me upset every time. Poor design. There's a phrase in design about that form should follow function. Like, yeah, make something look nice, but looking nice doesn't matter if it doesn't work well. So the form is less important than good function. And that was a spot where that just went right out the window. Why is this fingernail giving me such a hard time? Come on. Looks so flat. If I can get this hand pretty close to done today, that would be amazing. We will see. I think this is the first time I grabbed a round brush in the entire time I've been working on this piece. But it just fit, I think, the size that I need at the moment. My thumb needs to be a little darker. What's the second biggest enemy? My top 2 enemies of streams are dropping things and forgetting that I'm streaming. I don't think I've forgotten that I'm streaming yet. I drop things all the time. My cat might be a good example of something that makes it difficult. Because every now and again, he decides that he's bored and he doesn't want to sit around and wait patiently. So he'll try. There's been a few times where he's tried to like jump on my back while I'm streaming, like as if he wants to be on my shoulder, but he doesn't really fit there. Index fingers looks twisted to me. And there's a green notch near the knuckle. Yeah, it does. It does look twisted. You are right. All right, I will figure this out. We'll figure this out. As much as... what is going on here? That's too dark, but I'm just placing the shadow now because I think this is part of the problem. So I don't have the shadow for the side of the finger. And it's just very purple. Yeah, I think it's, my cat can make things difficult. Other than that, there's definitely just... boy. There's been a lot of things. Like, I've had some crazy times trying to get things set up to be right. Maybe Twitch is lucky that I did most of that on over on my YouTube channel primarily. But thinking and painting at the same time, like following a train of thought while I'm also thinking about how I'm addressing something here, doesn't always go very smoothly. That can be a problem. And I mean, I guess in that note, I can kind of just say that it's sort of like, it's like my ADHD can be my biggest enemy in focus. Like, yeah, I drop things, I lose my train of thought, it's just a little bit of chaos. Controlled chaos. Maybe. Not well controlled, but nonetheless. But it's always a learning experience, I figure that much. Always trying to figure out better ways to help myself succeed. When I can. I think that's the hardest thing with ADHD, is that you always have to try to figure out the solutions to things as they'll actually work for the way that you function. And I think that applies to everybody with any instance. Like whether you have, like, I can speak about ADHD because that's my perspective, but any particular issues of anything with accessibility or anything else, health issues, otherwise, anything. Like, we always just have to figure out the way to make things work best for the way that we work. Because almost always the strategies that I find, like the well-published and tried and true strategies to be organized or productive or any of those other things, tend to fail me. And then it gets very frustrating. And you don't understand why can't I make these things work? This should be simple. Except that there are actual reasons for it, and, you know. For me, I was a very late diagnosis. I didn't know for a very long time that I had ADHD. I just thought that, like, I just didn't understand why I struggled so much with some things that seemed so basic. And so finding that out has allowed me to, like, be a little more gentle with myself, to be like, it's not a character flaw. You're not a horrible human being because it's hard for you to be organized. You just have to find a way to make things work the way that I think and the way that I work. Oh, there's Watson. Hi. You here to say hi to everybody? Little cat intermission. There's a combination of, for him, little boredom, and he knows it's close to the time that he normally gets fed, so he starts reminding you, so you don't forget. Anybody who's had cats knows that they always think that you're gonna forget somehow. And that they'll likely starve to death. They always think that. Oh, hello. What are you doing? Oh my gosh. What are you doing? You're trying to tear my shirt off? Ah, fingernails. Ow, claws. Like I was saying, second biggest enemy of the fuzzy variety. Okay. Yeah, the thumb needed to be darker, but it's too red now. So we gotta tone that down a little bit. It should be a little red. Like, our fingers can have a bit of a translucent quality to parts of them, so it would be correct to be on the warm tones like that, but not quite that much, and that might be a hair too dark, but I still have to kind of even out my lights and darks on here a little bit. And sometimes it's kind of funny how the more you go back to work on something that maybe just needed a little tweaking, and somehow you end up making it worse, and then you got more work to do. And that's just, I think, in the way that I work, because I start out so loosely when I put down my initial layers that it seems like that's what's happening. It tends to seem like that's what's happening. When in reality, probably the initial layers were not correct. It's just when you're painting that loosely, sometimes you can get away with a little bit of, a little bit more. The finger just looks so messy now. Maybe I've gone to too small a brush. That's probably a portion of my issue. Gotta go love the image. It's looking great. Enjoy the process. Thank you so much, Peter. Hopefully I'll see you again. Have a great day. All right, what now? What now? And then as I'm focusing on that, but then I randomly look over and I'm like, ooh, I need to do something there. Constantly, even though I'm working on the same thing, it's the distractions, the constant distractions that keep popping back up. Because it's hard for me to manage my focus. Also, I think I'll forget if I don't deal with it immediately. That is absolutely a thing. Okay, I guess now I'm working on the hair for a minute. Didn't I say I was gonna do the tattoo today or work on that? You know what? Let's do it. Let's do that next, and I will continue with the hand. Possibly not today. Okay. In this case, I do need a very small brush, so I'm actually gonna go. It's not super tiny, but it's got an edge to it. It's a filbert, so it's flat and rounded at the top, so I can still get a fine line. It's number 3 filbert. That's what it is, and I can almost not even see the initial sketch anymore, but. Is this dry? Yep, that's all dry. So I'm going to create a bit of a tattoo-esque tone by just using my Payne's Gray, which is a not quite black color with cool bluer tones to it. Tiny bit of the yellow ochre and a little bit of white. All right, now watch me break things. This could go very badly. Of course, I put my hand in where it's wet. Yeah, that was smart. Paint right there. I'm gonna paint there. Okay. Anyway, it's fine. It's all fine. Let me just kind of eyeball. I might change where it's positioned a little bit. from where I initially had it. Hi, Watson. We're getting there. You're gonna be alright. You're not starving. I promise you aren't. No, I wouldn't let it happen. You can be a very vocal cat. I know. Alright, a few more minutes. I know, a little bit longer. You hear that? I don't know if y'all can hear that. It's kind of a little whiny sometimes. Poor guy. Thinks he's dying of hunger. Oh, you're fine. Promise. Put a line there for a second before it dries. Just kind of turn that back. Oh my! Oh goodness, my baby. Okay, so I think that'll be about the position and placement of it. This is probably pretty dry. I'm gonna make a little adjustment here before the paint is dried. Okay, that should be about right, I think. And because I use the paint drying retarder in my paints, I can still kind of make some reworks when I need to. As long as I don't wait too long to do so. Okay. Gonna use, because my fingers are not tiny enough, and I really shouldn't be like licking my fingers to make changes, because that's not smart or healthy or anything. Yeah, just got a tiny piece of paper towel. It's wet, and I'm just cleaning up a few spots. Trying to do so a little carefully. I know, baby, you're okay. So much drama. All right. Once I have the size of this right, and the position and everything, and I'm happy with that, then it will be like an opportunity to go in there and add a lot of different details and some things to happen. So I'll probably kind of get it to be a bit of a more intricately decorated piece here. So it'll be kind of its own little thing that stands out as a little bit different from the rest of the painting. What you doing? Do you disapprove? You don't like it? Go figure. Always a critic. Q-tip might work well for this also. Probably, potentially a little easier to control. In terms of trying to like clean up little areas. I'll have to get some Q-tips in here. Or next time, in case I'm doing anything like this. Although I'd probably bring them in here and like never use them, and they would just sit in a drawer, and then I'd forget why they're there. or that they are there at all. Oh, I'm picking up a bunch of other paint now. All right, winning. I can fix that. Scrubbed at it a little too hard, yeah. There. More or less. Okay, I actually think I'm really close to having it on this hand. This finger, not the whole hand, just the finger. Oh my gosh, almost. right now this is in a position where I think it looks better at a distance than it does like to me standing in front of it. Like when I look at the screen to see like what's happening when it's on a screen that big, when it's that far away, that finger's starting to look about right, but right in front of my face, I'm not as happy with it yet. Okay. Part of the problem is the shape's getting away from me. Ah, one step forward, two steps back. Hi. You know what? I might just be at a place where I kind of just want to walk away for a little bit from it. Probably. I am fussing far too much, and it isn't helping. Okay, yes. You sometimes get to a point where you definitely need to just walk away for a while and let it be, come back to it with a fresh set of eyes, and I think I've officially hit that point. But on the bright side, got a lot done. Oh, Gladiator Company 18, hello, thanks for joining. Use MS Paint. Ooh, that's a difficult one to work with. But that's okay. Whatever works, whatever gets job done that you want to get done is good. I'm just here for everybody doing anything creative. But yeah, okay. So we are at the 2-hour mark of working on this in the whole for today, and I think I am officially at that point of like making things worse as I continue to go. I need that fresh set of eyes, probably. And I've totally forgot that I had coffee here. Hello, coffee. Now that it's like not even morning anymore. Oh well. Cold coffee. Still does a trick. Anyhow. Yeah, and a little too much focusing on it. Also, I think I'm supposed to get my new glasses today, so happy dance. I'm getting a pair of prescription glasses that's for like a little bit more close up. For reading, it's meant, you know, what they tell you, reading glasses, right? Or looking at screens, but also when you're painting, it helps. So, yay, excited. Hopefully they don't look ridiculous because I ordered them online. Every time I look away and look back to it, I'm like, ooh, there's another thing. I think I'm just gonna make a mark on my reference photo of what it is. But yeah, I think it's time to walk away for now. Yeah, it's good progress today, all in all, I think. Not too bad. And gonna pick this up. Monday I will not be streaming like I mentioned. It's Christmas, so you know, I there shouldn't be many people around, and I won't be here. Physically, I won't be in this place. So I hope that everybody has a wonderful holiday. If you celebrate Christmas, wonderful Christmas, and all the good things to you. And I will be back for sure on Thursday, next Thursday, a week from today, same time. And I possibly will fit in a different evening stream one night. It'll probably be rather unannounced, but yeah, that's the plan. So, thank you to everybody for hanging out for a little bit and taking some time away from whatever you're working on. And hopefully I will see you next time. So, bye and Merry Christmas.